What are we looking at here, Bruce?
This is Large Marge. Large Marge is a 2004 Chevy Silverado 1500.
Okay, and what's the deal? She's gigantic. Like, are you actually getting out on the trails with this?
Yeah, it's definitely not stock. Marge gets out on the trails a lot less than my Jeep, but yeah, it's got its specific things that it's good at.
Okay, and what are those specific things?
Generally, if we're like dead pulling a vehicle, so if it doesn't run or it's missing tires or a burnt vehicle, Marge works a little better for that. Just got a lot more pulling power, the V8 engine. Yeah, she can pull.
All right, walk me through some of the things you've done to this truck. Like, it's a, so tell me again, what is the truck?
It's a 2004 Chevy Silverado 1500. I got it when it was bone stock, exactly how it came from the factory. The most noticeable thing is I did a solid axle swap, and what that means is from the factory this truck came with independent front suspension, so basically each wheel is on its own suspension system, which is great for on-road, handles bumps well, steering's great, all that, but for off-road a solid front axle is kind of more desirable. So I swapped in a set of 1-ton axles from an F350, actually, both rear and front axles, and that just allows you to articulate and just works better all around off-road, a little stronger.
And what are we looking at when you're talking axles? Can you point those out?
Yeah, so they're out of a 2005 F350, I believe. It's called solid front axle because you can see the whole axle goes from one wheel right to the other, whereas from factory it would be kind of a solid center section where your differential is, and then control arms go out from either side, and it's a bit weaker system. So this is beefy, big axles, big axle housing, big U-joints, and yeah, it's simple and it works.
And why is something like that appropriate? Like, I know you're saying it's just less moving parts, but
yeah, it's well, the main thing is just the upgrade. So it's a half-ton truck, so it came with half-ton differentials, so that means small gears, small axles, just all the parts are a lot smaller. So when you throw things like 46-inch tires on, in stock form it would not last even a day.
show me these tires, man. These things are beefy.
Yeah, so these are 46 inches tall by 19.5 inches wide on a 20-inch wheel. They're Mickey Thompson tires. They're one of the bigger DOT size tires. They're a bias ply, so basically they're rough going down the road. They get flat spots. They take a long time to get round again. They are sitting on 20-inch KMC beadlocks. Beadlocks are really important for off-road because you can air down to the really low single digits and not have your tire come off the rim. It basically, the outside bead of the tire sits on the outside of the wheel, and then it's clamped on by this ring here, and you can see dozens of bolts going around clamping that outside of the tire on. So you can air it down to almost flat and your tire is never going to come off the rim.
So you can run this thing just like rate low.
Yeah.
And you carry compressors with you when you're out in the field?
Yeah, got a couple compressors in this one because the tires are so big. It's got the 2 valve stems on it, so you can actually hook 2 compressors on at once because there's just a huge volume of air in the tires. And we like to drop them down to 2 or 3 PSI generally when we're off-road, which increases the footprint. Basically, you just think of it as a snowshoe for your foot. When the tires are aired up, it would be like your normal boot. When they're aired down, there's a huge footprint, just like a snowshoe.
Is there anything like special done to the inside? Like, do you have any rigging done on the inside of the truck?
Inside is pretty stock, actually. I don't even have hand controls installed on this one. I just run kind of their travel hand controls, so you can put them in your bag and take them anywhere, install them on any car. So those are pretty simple. It's just got a handle that attaches straight to the brake, and then you can use your thumb on that one and that hits the gas pedal. The only other thing I changed in here is the transfer case shifter, which is now a manual one down on the floor. It used to be electronic up on the dash, but manual is just more reliable. There's just linkage going straight to the transfer case. If you ever break that, you can crawl under it and literally put a wrench on it and shift gears. Whereas with the electronic, I mean, that's computers and electronic stuff, and it's just harder to diagnose if things go wrong. And other than that, it's bone stock inside, which is kind of how I wanted to keep it. And you'll notice it's really not modified all that much body-wise on the outside. That's on purpose, just keeping stock bumpers, stock box and everything, aside from being cut out for the big tires. But I just like the look of the factory truck, and makes it slightly less heat score for driving it down the road when you got it to the trails.
I gotta ask you, man, this thing is looking less accessible than when it first rolled off the factory floor.
Yeah, usually, so factory, this rocker panel here would be down kind of, I don't know, 14 inches off the ground. Now it's whatever it is, 40 inches off the ground. So it's a big difference. It's a bit of a brute to get into, but once I'm in there, it's comfy as could be.
So what's the ideal use for a truck like this? Like, is this like when, you know, it's like when you get the big pry bar out, something won't come out?
Yeah.
Get brute force?
I mean, deep snow with the big tires, it handles the deep, sugary snow a lot better than the smaller tires on the Jeep. Yeah, when you air them down, you've got a almost 20-inch wide contact patch. So just more of these giant lugs, and the biting edges will be on the ground. And for this sugary snow, these are basically like paddles on the tires that just help you get through it.
And tell me about the paint job. It's looking a little custom.
Yeah, I mean, all my vehicles from going through the bush have that custom pinstriping from brush and stuff. If we were to stop and cut out every branch on the trails we were going, we would never get anywhere because they get pretty tight and overgrown.
What other kind of stuff's on here, like for recoveries? Like I'm seeing a winch back here. Maybe
Yeah.
talk me through how you got that mounted.
So on this one, it's actually just a hitch receiver winch. So the winch is actually not physically mounted to the truck. It's on this winch plate, which is on a 2-inch square tube that slides into the hitch receiver. So pros and cons to that. Pros is it's a lot cheaper. You don't need a full custom front bumper like I have on my Jeep. You can slide this into a trailer to pull cars on. If you have the receiver on the trailer, you could actually take this, as long as you had a battery or jumper cables, and throw it in the back of a stock half-ton pickup truck that was stuck, and they could winch themselves out. So sometimes that is helpful in recoveries. I got a second battery in the box of the truck that this one's hooked up to, connected to the front battery. And another benefit is, as you can see, this one's sitting quite high. So sometimes hooking it onto a car that has maybe got a damaged tire or something, you can take some weight off of it and transfer that weight onto the truck, giving the truck more traction and just kind of making it easier to extract certain vehicles in certain situations.
Do you have to like reinforce the hitch on this, or just like, again, factory hitch setup?
It's a factory hitch, but it is reinforced. I got some pretty heavy duty braces that go off of it and tie into the frame of the truck, just because well, both for the winch and if we're pulling someone out, there's some pretty hard hits with the kinetic ropes. So I want to make sure that my truck is not going to be the one that fails.
So what, I'm looking at this thing, it's pretty beefy. Tell me what we're looking at here mileage wise. Like what's going on? What's the fuel economy on a truck like this?
What does Marge have? I think right around 300,000 kilometers. It is the bone stock 5.3 liter V8 LS engine, as they're popularly known. Yeah, part of me wants to add more horsepower, but with big tires like this, more horsepower just means more broken parts, and especially for recoveries, I want to be as reliable as possible. So there's guys out there running 1,000+ horsepower, and they can get places further and faster, but they're breaking stuff every time out, every second time out, and I just can't be having that, especially in the wheelchair. I just want things to work. So the stock V8 has got enough power to turn these. Obviously the gearing in the axles, they're 513-to-1 gear ratio. So that really helps put the power to the ground. And yeah, no plans on upping the power as of yet.
And I'm looking at some like pretty beefy suspension here on the rears. What are we talking about with this stuff?
Yeah, so these are coilovers, which from factory came with just normal leaf springs, as has been around for many, many years. These are 18-inch coilover, so they're massive. As you can see, they go right up into the box. Had to cut out the wheel wells. And then they attach down on the axle where there's big axle trusses that basically cover the whole top of the axle and prevent the axle from bending. If you hit big bumps or jump it or anything like that, you're not going to bend the whole axle, and it makes a good heavy spot for those coilovers to attach to.
Okay, and what's going on up here in the front? I'm seeing some are those your sway bars? Is that what that is?
So in the front, to attach the axle, the solid axle, obviously none of those mounts were there. I had to cut out all the stock front suspension. Those are actually radius arms, so it attaches in 1 point at the frame and then 2 points on the axle, which that's kind of a trade-off. It's not as flexible and stuff off-road, but the on-road handling is a lot better with that. So again, just being able to jump in it and drive down the road at 80 kilometers an hour comfortably is what you get from a setup like that.
I rode in this truck last night. There wasn't a whole lot of comfortable driving down my kidneys would disagree.
The rough is the tires, not the suspension. That's going back to the bias plies. They get flat spots, and especially in the winter with the cold tires. In the summer, you drive a couple kilometers and they're round again because it's just warmth and the tires aren't solid. But when it's minus 10 or 20 like it is now, yeah, you can make it the whole way to the trail without the tires becoming round again.
Hey, show me where this thing's mounted up to the frame, like rear those bars there.
Yeah, so well, in the rear it's a 4-link, so a triangulated 4-link, which means there's 2 lower bars that go from the frame to the outside of the axle, and then up top it's mounted from the frame and then it goes to the center of the axle. So the triangulation of the suspension is what allows it to flex in every direction and stay centered, and then especially the uppers keep the axle centered when it travels up and down. So it's a pretty cool system. I had to remove the gas tank to be able to do that to allow the space for the links. So the gas tank is now in the bed of the truck, and makes exhaust routing tricky. As you notice, the exhaust is coming out the side of the bed. That's just because if you run it out the back, it just gets in the way of the suspension traveling. So there's a reason for most of the stuff I did, and a lot of it is just finding space for it. So the front is a little different, as I mentioned, with the radius arms. It just attaches at the 1 point on the frame on either side, and then goes down and grabs 2 points on the axle. And in doing that, the links are adjustable, so you can adjust the caster, which is how much the axle's rolled forward and back, and then obviously keeps it in place from rolling over. But with this system and no triangulation, you need another bar, which is the track bar, which goes from one side of the frame and then down to the other side of the axle, and that's what holds the axle centered and from going anywhere. So slightly different systems, front and back. Yeah, the back works better, but the front with all the steering and everything is a little more solid for street driving.
And how is it, like, you do a lot of YouTube stuff, how is it filming and doing your own content out of a vehicle like this? Like,
yeah, it's a lot easier getting in and out of my Jeep myself. This one is basically I get in once, get out once. It's double-edged sword. People love to see Marge just because it's so unique. I mean, everyone loves big tires and loud exhaust. So easier to use my Jeep. People like Marge a lot better. So that's kind of the trade-off.
Okay, and if you had a choice of scenario, when and where you'd use a truck like this?
Yeah, if we get a call if I know it's going to be a good couple feet deep, if there's maybe a foot of new snow that we need to get through, there's a truck that doesn't run at all or has a tire broken off, then we'll take Marge, because I just know I can hook up to it and yard on it, and chances are it's coming out. The torque of the V8, the low gearing, that all helps with just being able to pull vehicles for a long amount of time. Alrighty,
well, summarize her up for me. Is this something that, like, a lot of, what would you do differently next time? What would you, like for the guys out there who build their own trucks, right? Like
this truck, I'm really proud of this truck because I did every part of it myself, out of the wheelchair, in the shop. So I learned a ton. This was my first like really big project like this. So of course I would do a few things differently next time. Certain little things that I'd change with the suspension. But having said that, I haven't changed a single thing since I built it, and it's been out quite a few times, and it's working. Nothing's broken, nothing's come loose. So yeah, overall I can't complain. Yeah, that's about it for Marge. It's a beast, but does its job and does it well every time I need it.